Superman. Everyone knows who he is. He's widely considered the very first superhero, the one who started it all. Since the 1930s, superheroes like Superman have inspired generations and grown into global sensations. They represent hope, safety, and justice, symbols that push people to be better. With Superman's massive popularity, it's no surprise that he inspired countless other heroes. Many of these are often referred to as Superman clones, and there are a lot of them. But there's another idea that's taken fandoms by storm. What if Superman was evil? This concept gained mainstream popularity with shows like The Boys and Invincible, as well as the Injustice comic run. One of the most well-known evil Superman-type characters is Homelander, famous for his ruthless and murderous personality. But there's another clone, one that's far less talked about. On the horror side of superhero media, we were introduced to Brightburn, a film centered around Brandon Breyer, better known as the evil Superman, Brightburn. So what happens when these two evil soups collide? Simple. Blood will be spilled and cities will crumble. Hello everyone, Dusty here. In this video, I will be talking about two evil Superman clones and determining who would win in a fight. Those two characters are Homelander from The Boys and Brandon Breyer, or Brightburn, from the horror movie Brightburn. I'll be comparing their stats, such as strength, speed, durability, IQ, experience, as well as their abilities to determine which one will walk out of the arena alive. Let's lay some ground rules. I will be using feats from The Boys live-action show specifically, since while Homelander is in Mortal Kombat 1, and as of writing this video, the DC crossover comic came out, they aren't material from the main continuity, which is where I'm pulling information from. Now that we got that out of the way, I need to talk about their backstories, starting with Homelander. Homelander is the product of rigorous and ruthless experimentation by Vought International. Homelander was created to be the ultimate superhero rather than a normal human being. Vought used a chemical compound known as Compound V to give Homelander his superpowers. Homelander, or also known as John, grew up in isolation, not having a childhood that most people had. He had no family, no friends, no affection. He had nothing. Being deprived of love his entire life, he grew up with the mindset that his strength was his only value, which made him emotionally stunted and deeply insecure. He began craving approval from anybody, even those who might control or judge him. As an adult, he became a global icon and sensation, and he was seen by the people as a model superhero, which in reality he was not at all. He was a murderous narcissist who had a god complex, fragile ego, and severe trauma. He is the closest thing to hell on earth, and the only thing he truly cared about was his public image. Homelander was created to be a hero, but in reality, he is nothing more than a crying child with a really bad god complex. Brandon Breyer is a young boy with superhuman powers. His parents, Tori and Kyle Breyer, found him in a crashed alien spaceship and took him in as their own. They raised him as their own son for years, but things started going downhill when Brandon turned the age of 12. It was at this age when he learned about his alien heritage as well as his powers. He started hearing voices in his head telling him to take the world, and that was the moment chaos erupted. He went around killing anyone who made him angry, tried hurting him, or anyone who stood in his way. He spared nobody, not even his own parents, as he went to achieve his goal of conquering the world. He fully embraced his role as an evil alien and became a global supervillain, dooming humanity to a fate of total annihilation and destruction. So now that you know who these characters are, let's get to the main event. Like I said in the intro, I'll be comparing their stats to determine who the superior villain is. Now let's begin with the first stat, their strength. Homelander is clowned on the internet for being weak. In fact, on the internet, he is constantly picked on and put on fraud watch. But how strong truly is Homelander? Well, Homelander is the strongest member of the Seven, so he should scale above what the others can do. Queen Maeve was capable of stopping a speeding truck with her body alone. This feat should be small building level. Homelander is also stronger than Soldier Boy, and even beat him in a fight a few times. Soldier Boy is a character who is capable of fighting up a powered-up Butch and creating a large building level explosion. This is a random feat, but Homelander was also able to throw a baseball so fast that it would land in Boston and kill somebody on impact, which is similar to the time where he threw a football into a plane and forced it to require an emergency landing. Homelander also has threatened to wipe New York City off the map just for fun. So Homelander would scale anywhere from large building to city levels of strength. Brandon is very strong for being such a young boy. Despite being a small child, Brandon can destroy metal freezer doors, destroy multiple walls in a house just by flying through them, and smash Sheriff Denver so hard he exploded into paste, which requires 583.39 kilojoules of force. He is also able to tear apart commercial airplanes, which, when he did it, he killed 268 people. Shout out to Dead Meat and the video for giving me that number. In the end credits scene of the movie, Brandon was able to destroy an entire office building complex. This would scale Brandon to large building levels. However, he can scale higher. In official promotional art for the movie, Brandon was seen being able to cut his double B symbol into the earth in multiple places. This feat is anywhere from a large country to a multi-continental feat. All of this is also not even in his prime due to the fact that Brandon is still only a child. Although, I can't really add any multipliers to this because I don't know his full potential as an adult. So this feat is most likely his high end. But even still, he is incredibly powerful. So who's stronger? Both of these characters are known in their verses for being the strongest being on the planet. However, Brandon would take the edge in terms of strength. Homelander is capable of wiping cities off the map, but Brandon can destroy countries to even continents. Homelander may be powerful, but he is weaker than this 12-year-old boy. Brandon/Brightburn takes the edge in strength. Now let's move on to speed. Homelander is incredibly fast, although that's to be expected with his superhuman status. Homelander was able to escape a point-blank C4 explosion as it was going off right on top of him. His highest calculated speed feat is Mach 1.5 speeds, which is a supersonic speed feat. However, he can also move faster than humans can perceive. Homelander is also fast enough to catch up to a Learjet 31 airplane. It's also been stated that he was capable of breaking the sound barrier when he was only 8 years old. So Homelander, in conclusion, should have supersonic speeds. Brandon is also quite fast, as he was able to fly faster than human perception a few times in the movie. Untrained human eyes can perceive speeds up to 1,000 miles per hour and potentially faster, which is a supersonic level speed feat due to him moving at around Mach 1 speeds. Brandon was also capable of flying into the stratosphere in a few seconds, which further backs up the supersonic speed feat claims. So yeah, Brandon is pretty fast. So who's faster? These characters have very similar speeds, and the gap is smaller than it was in strength. However, I give the slight edge to Homelander. While Brandon is very fast, Homelander just is slightly faster. Brandon's high end is around Mach 1, while Homelander's is Mach 1.5, which is slightly more than Brandon, slightly faster. So yeah, Homelander should take the edge in speed. Now let's talk about durability. Homelander is so durable that it's been stated that very little man-made weapons on Earth can actually hurt him. While not invincible, he is extremely durable. He was also able to tank an explosion that destroyed an entire chemical plant, which would be a large building level of feat. He is completely invulnerable to bullets and low-tier bombs, and can also take hits from Soldier Boy, who, like I stated earlier, is a large building level. Despite being incredibly durable, it's been hinted that strong enough nukes could potentially put Homelander down, and in the comics, they have to keep a hydrogen bomb strapped to him because that's the only thing that can kill him. So Homelander, while durable, is not invincible. Overall, Homelander should scale to large building plus levels of durability. Brandon is incredibly durable for a small child. He was able to survive a shotgun blast to the back of his head with no damage whatsoever. He was also able to break a lawnmower blade just by it touching his hand. He can also survive crashing through several walls through multiple buildings. Brandon also has some statements that he is completely invulnerable to conventional damage like bullets, bombs, or physical blows. In the movie, it's been shown that Brandon's only weakness is the metal from his spaceship. So this means Brandon is immune to all conventional damage unless it's from his ship's metal. Although just going off of the feats that he has shown on screen, he should have building levels of durability. So who's more durable? It's extremely close, but I'm going to tie them. Now let me explain. While Homelander does have slightly higher levels of durability, his being large building level over Brandon's just regular building level, but Brandon's invulnerability hacks should even the odds. While it's likely Homelander could potentially bypass this invulnerability with a strong enough blow, due to his damage output being higher than Brandon's durability, it's not totally set in stone. You can make an argument for it, but I don't see it happening. So overall, they would tie in durability. Now let's talk about IQ and experience. Homelander was never educated, but despite that, he is decently intelligent. Homelander is a very skilled manipulator, being able to convince the entire media that he is a good guy and not an actual killer. He was able to successfully assess that Stan Edgar was involved in the murders during the Congress hearing, as well as outsmarting him. As for experience, Homelander does not know how to fight properly. While he has been a hero, quotation marks, for years, he mostly relies on pure physical strength over strategies and technique. He has never had to push himself as a fighter since he was always the strongest and was never truly threatened by anything. So Homelander should be above average when it comes to intelligence and just have okay amounts of battle experience. Brandon Breyer is incredibly intelligent. In the movie, we see that his teachers describe him as an academic genius and the top of his class, and he was also able to decipher alien language very easily, as well as mastering his powers in a matter of days. He has also been shown to be incredibly knowledgeable in subjects like anatomy and entomology. As for experience, he doesn't really have anything. He has not fought anyone with powers like him. Since the entire movie, he was dealing with regular humans, and he one-shot them pretty easily. The closest thing he had to a fight was when his mom tried to stab him, which he effortlessly stopped. So who takes the edge in these stats? Brandon would take the edge in IQ pretty easily, as he not only received more education than Homelander, but he is canonically an academic genius. Homelander, however, would take the edge in experience, as he has been in a lot more battles and been fighting for a lot longer than Brandon has. While both of these characters don't know how to fight properly, like I said, Homelander has just simply been fighting a lot longer and a lot more often. So Brandon takes the edge in IQ, and Homelander takes the edge in experience. Now, before I come to the verdict on who wins, I need to talk about their abilities. Homelander has quite a few strong abilities under his belt. For starters, he has his laser vision, which is so powerful it can cut through planes and large crowds of people. He also has supervision, which allows him to see through everything but zinc. He can also fly, scream so loud that he bursts the eardrums of everyone around him, and he has super hearing and strength. And with these abilities, he proves time and time again why he's the strongest character in The Boys. Brandon doesn't have as many abilities as other Superman clones. All of his abilities are laser vision, flight, super strength, technology manipulation, telekinesis, and fear manipulation. He also has his invulnerability to conventional damage, but as a bonus, he's also immune to all forms of sickness. Because in the movie, it's been stated he's never been sick in his entire life. So who wins? This fight is extremely close, as both are similar in terms of speed, durability, and they even have similar abilities. However, I give the win to Brandon/Brightburn for a few reasons. Not only does he have the ability to one-shot Homelander with his laser vision, having country to multi-continental levels of power behind them, which would absolutely cook Homelander if a single one of it lands. They are also similar in terms of speed, so it's not a guarantee that Homelander can consistently dodge these lasers. I also believe that Homelander isn't strong enough to hit Brandon with enough power to bypass his own invulnerability. Mortal Kombat 1 and DC crossover Homelander definitely could, but I'm not using those versions. And while Homelander could disorient Brandon with his sonic screaming, he can't really capitalize on it in any real way. So the winner for this video is Brandon Breyer/Brightburn with high difficulty. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's more of a niche conversation, but it was still pretty fun to make. If you disagree with anything I said in the video, make sure to comment down below, and I'll make sure to read your comments. If you want to recommend fights, you can also put them down below, and I'll add them to the list of fights I'll make videos on. Anyways, this is Dusty, signing off. Have a wonderful day.